Rest in peace, drone. Yo, what's up? Just a year ago, I couldn't even imagine that I'd be able to purchase Japanese cars on a Japanese auction. I was under the impression that the best time to buy first came to pass back in 2003, when the government imposed a new customs fee for cars over the age of 7, and then again in 2008, when they effectively banned the import of assembled chassis. Meanwhile, here we are in 2018, and I've already bought myself 2 cars from the Japanese auctions. I'd like to point out that neither of these cars are the sort of modern, soulless creations brought to life by the marketing department. The first of the aforementioned cars is a Toyota Crown Athlete Estate. We actually have a separate video about how we brought that one in. Meanwhile, the second one is a Mitsubishi Delica. What? Mitsubishi? There is no sh sound in the Japanese language, so in Russia we call them Mitsubishi. Russian tongue twister. What the fuck? So why the Delica? Why not an Alphard? Or an Elgrand? Why not an Elysion? Why did we go with some stupid Mitsubishi, which I've personally always hated? Here's why. Only the Delica is a proper off-roader and a minivan wrapped into one vehicle. To be honest, I wasn't even considering buying myself a Delica. I was actually looking into Elgrands, Alphards, Elysions. I even found a few suitable Elgrands, and was placing a few bids. I missed out on 2 of them. And after talking to not just one of my friends, but a couple of them, they were like, "What's wrong with you? Are you sure you want an Elgrand for the type of driving you'll be doing?" Then I started thinking, and I did come to the conclusion that something is wrong here. That Elgrand would have most likely been stranded in the middle of a field in a week's time. We've bottomed out. Eventually that led me to getting a Delica. There is no other minivan out there with this kind of off-road capability. It wasn't easy picking a decent Delica. I wanted to get a car with a sunroof and with 7 seats. One that would have 2 separate seats in the middle rather than a bench. Like rotating captain's chairs. It took me about 1.5 months to find one on the auctions. They would either sell for too much money, or they would have a grade like R or A or something like that. Sometimes there just weren't any 7-seater cars with a sunroof. After a while though, I did find a car which perfectly suited my needs. And most importantly, my bid went through. So this is the car I bought. It's a 2000 Delica, in Exceed trim. The auction grade for this one was 3.5. It has 120,000 Ks on the clock. It has 2 sunroofs, which are power operated, unlike the ones in the Toyota and the Nissan. The front sunroof on those can only go up manually. This one has individual rotating seats in the middle row, a factory parking radar, a climate control system with a digital readout, power running boards, and a few bars underneath the front and rear bumpers. The fog lights are pretty nice. This one has 4 of them, 2 white and 2 yellow. You can operate them separately. I'm a bit torn on this car. On one hand, if you were to drive into a forest, get closer to Mother Nature, this car would give any Japanese minivan a run for its money. However, on the highway, it does roll around quite a bit. But that's the price you have to pay for its off-road capabilities. After all, it is related to the Pajero. The suspension's pretty stiff. The front suspension is a double wishbone setup with torsion beams, just like on Japanese SUVs such as Bighorns and Pajeros. In the back it has a live axle, which did come with an optional LSD. Here's what I don't like about the car, and even find to be a bit annoying. I'm talking about the complete lack of any sound deadening. It's quite noticeable when you're driving at speeds in excess of 80 kilometers an hour. Also, the plastic in here is really cheap, especially what they use to make the door handles, the trim pieces on the seats, the rearview mirror housing. It fades in the sunlight and then it starts to crumble. Plus, you can't see anything on the climate screen if you were to switch on the headlights on a sunny day. I haven't had this on my car, thankfully, but as far as I've seen on the Delica forums, the sunroofs start to malfunction at some point. They tend to get stuck or jammed, and so on. I've had a bunch of Toyotas with sunroofs. Yes, I am a big fan of sunroofs. And I've never even suspected that you might face these sorts of issues. But all of these minor gripes can be forgiven for this car being something of a small truck. The Delica actually got its name from a truck back in 1968. In fact, the name Delica means delivery car. Moving on to the passenger compartment. It features its own climate controls, venting rear windows, but the most important aspect is the cabin transformation. Now onto the motor. The Delica came with an array of gasoline and diesel engines. I don't even want to get into the 4-pot gas and diesel motors. In our case, only the V6 matters. Our Delica is fitted with a V6, and not just any V6, but a 6G72. Unlike the Pajero, this motor doesn't come with gasoline direct injection, and that's actually a huge advantage. These motors live long and are free of serious issues. The only problem is that it sits quite deep in the engine bay, which makes replacing spark plugs a bit of a challenge, but I'm nitpicking here. This generation of the Delica was quite popular in Japan and in other parts of the world, with its production run of 13 years. At some point, the Koreans took over. They licensed this car and started production of the well-known Starex. As of today, in the year 2018, it's still being produced in China by Dongfeng. The body is exactly the same, but it has a 1.6-liter motor and rear-wheel drive. On the outside, though, this is still our beloved Delica. They also come with a 1.8-liter motor. Great! Time for us to sign out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel, our Instagram, Telegram. Bye. See you guys.